So this is my wall of Pothos fish tanks. And as you can see, a couple of the tanks are looking just a wee bit dirty. So I got the Pothos on these fish tanks, for the main goal of not having them require so many water changes. So after I put the Pothos in the tanks, I just stopped doing water changes in all these tanks. I wanted to see, can I get the nitrate level up a little bit and inspire some growth in the Pothos and let this system just take over. So I let that happen for a couple weeks and the Pothos did not keep up. Now, how do I know that the Pothos did not keep up? Well, I just take a look at the algae growth on the glass. So if the algae growth on the glass is exceptionally fast, that means you got some sort of, non-optimal water quality. There's something in the water quality that's not optimal, because if the water quality was optimal, yeah, you'd still have some algae growth, but it would be at a slow rate. It would be at a much slower rate. So now what I gotta do is I did just do water changes on all the tanks, but I gotta clean the glass off all of them too. So I did just do a water change on this tank yesterday. But obviously that's not gonna remove the algae. Also, real quick, everyone that keeps telling me, watch Clint Reptile's video on snapping turtles on how to properly hold them. And I've tried this dinner plate method that you speak of, but all it's doing is causing him to still wanna walk off my hands and onto the floor, which would not be very good. So even if I hold him from underneath, like everyone's saying, like, oh, if you hold them from underneath, they're not gonna wanna, run away from you. That is not the case for Bowser here. I can do this whole dinner plate method, and this guy is still gonna wanna walk away. So, maybe it can be slightly more comfortable, but it sure doesn't, Bowser sure doesn't show that. Now, what I don't want you guys to do is I don't want you to take away from this video that, oh, if you have dirty glass on a fish tank, or if you see a dirty looking fish tank, that must mean the water's dirty. Because there are several factors that can make your tank look like this. And it's really each individual system and the caretaker for that system that will know whether or not their system, is messed up. Now, for me personally, I know that the water quality did get bad at one point because the algae growth just went really fast. Now, yes, I did have the lights on for a longer period of time, but you could also have the case where the algae growth was very, very slow over a long period of time, and someone just did not scrape their glass, which is fine to do. And you can have the same looking tank, but that can mean the water quality is perfectly fine and the system is stable. However, for my case alone, specifically here, the system was not stable. The goal was to make it stable, and hopefully in the future I can get that, but as of now, the Pothos are just not sucking up as much nitrates as they should to, negate the need for water changes. Now in my goldfish tanks, I was continuing to do water changes because I know with how much I feed these goldfish, by the way, don't forget to get some Goldie Bites off lukesgoldies.com. With how much I feed these goldfish and how much waste producing, goldfish are, I did not expect to get a, no water change system for goldfish that quickly. But for my guppy tanks, I was hoping for my guppy tanks, maybe that would work. But for these guys, I still had to do my water changes. Who's hungry? Who's hungry for some food? Come here, Harold. So even though right now these Pothos are not handling, the waste load of, definitely not the goldfish, but not even the guppies, does that mean that I don't think that they're good for a fish system or that they can do that in the future? Absolutely not. The whole point of creating this fish wall is I went in knowing that, this is not immediately gonna solve a water change problem, but if I get this place to an absolute jungle, if these Pothos just grow like crazy, like absolutely crazy, then they will suck every bit of nitrate and some of the phosphates and stuff out of the water, and they will hopefully get it to the point where water changes are a very, very rare thing that you rarely need, because it'll suck up so much nitrates that hopefully maybe even the algae can't grow. So that's basically the goal. If I can get the pothos to grow so much that, I'm blasting the lights on here all the time and I'm not even noticing algae growth, that's good. And I know that some people were worried about the pothos because they thought that I had made a video in the past saying that pothos killed Jimmy, Tuco, and Gizmo, but that's not the truth. In the past, I did make a video where I pondered the idea and I said, hey, one of the possible reasons Jimmy, Tuco, and Gizmo died is because maybe they ate the pothos leaves and that caused them to die. And I said, I'm not sure if this is true. This is just something that came to my mind because I know that pothos leaves have calcium oxalate, which is harmful if eaten. But after talking with some other fish keepers and after doing a little more research, I came to the conclusion that that is not actually the reason why Gizmo, Tuco, and Jimmy died. Because I've talked to a lot of other people that have had pothos in their water systems and their fish turned out absolutely fine. And honestly, right now, I'm not noticing any negative effects yet either. I'm honestly noticing positive effects. So if pothos didn't kill Jimmy, Tuco, and Gizmo, what did? Well, I actually believe that there was either a parasite or some sort of bacteria, like a wasting bacteria, that came with them when I first got them. Because honestly, I noticed the problem, occurring with them from the start. From the start they were fine, but they never actually grew. They never actually got bigger. They just kind of got smaller and smaller, since I got them. And I did treat them with praziquantel at the time, but I now believe that praziquantel is not even that good of an antiparasitic medication for fish because I've used it multiple times in the past where I believe I had a parasitic problem and I don't think it did much. So I used to use praziquantel. I do not use it anymore. I now love fenbendazole. I think fenbendazole is amazing. I've had it help me many times with goldfish that are losing weight or not doing too well. So I highly recommend fenbendazole as a deworming agent instead of praziquantel. And I think if I had had that stuff at the time, I think Jimmy, Tuco, and Gizmo, I think they still would have been alive and kicking. But unfortunately, they're not. Also, I know this tank is pretty dirty because I just cleaned the glass off it, but check out Frank over here, guys. And also check out Gerald. So Gerald has been absolutely on a massive growth tear, just growing like crazy. And so is Frankie over here. Look at Frankie. And I know I say generally don't keep common goldfish with your fancy goldfish, but when you have someone as vigorous as Gerald, he competes honestly in terms of speed and resilience. He competes pretty well with Frankie. Have you ever seen a goldfish so perfect? I bred that goldfish. Pretty sure she's a female because I see she's got that thick butt. Look at that goldfish. Look at both these goldfish. Both are stellar, amazing fish. Both are fish that I bred. Very proud of both these guys. That one's Popsicle, a male in the back. This one, pretty sure female. No name for this girl though. I gotta decide a good name for her. Also in this tank, I got two absolutely beautiful ranchus with just the chunkiest faces. With just the most absolute chunky faces. So I'm really trying to grow these guys out. The reason you see so little goldfish in all my tanks right now is I really am just kind of doing a consolidation grow out period. I'm not really selling right now. Do I see some mating action here? Let's check this guy. Do we see any sperm in here? Oh my goodness. We sure do see a lot of sperm. So this is a male for sure. I kind of want to check if this one's a female. Oh my goodness, that's a female. That's an egg-laden female right there. But this is kind of a crappy spawn. So I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for this tank. For when the next time they do this is. So a lot of the goldfish in these tanks are actually grandchildren of Mr. Clean. And it's really cool to, breed a goldfish and then breed its child That's what these are, the grandchildren of Mr. Clean. But I feel like it's even cooler when you go to a third generation. And we're finally on to our very last tank here, doing a nice thorough algae cleaning. And yeah, I don't do this that often because it's just a lot of work. Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed watching me clean my whole Pothos tank wall. And don't forget to get your little Dumpy plushie signed or not signed. It'll make a great gift for a loved one that likes fish or goldfish this Christmas. Also, pre-order your Jill plushies. They're coming soon. Thanks for watching. Luke's Goldies, out.